Welcome to the Awesomo Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal Emac coming to you with one Chris Randone as we are recording Sunday night to get you ready for Monday, January 6th, 9-game NBA slate. We just finished a very exciting wildcard weekend. We had a couple upsets, some road teams pulled off some magic here. It was a little bit crazy. Next weekend we head into the divisional round. We've got a couple, or let me rephrase that. All the home teams will be coming off their buys, and they will be taking on the four winners of Wildcard Weekend. Chris, do you have any imparting or wisdom to impart from the NFL action that we've just got done wrapping up here?
Man, well, first off, congrats to my good friend Jaden Tanner. They just took down the Millie Maker, so that's pretty awesome. Good job, DK Metcalf and the Seahawks. You and I were talking before the show. Seattle looks good. They really do, and regardless of their running backs right now, with Lynch and with Homer, if you let Russell Wilson be Russell Wilson, he can be Danger Russ, as we all know his nickname is, and him throwing the ball today made me feel confident that maybe this is a team that could go under the radar here coming into the next few weeks of the rest of the NFC playoffs. But you also mentioned Tom Brady, man. Is the age creeping up now? Is this officially over? I mean, we'll have to see. And then, man, Derrick Henry, wow. Can he continue that next week in Baltimore against a Baltimore team that, if you want to attack them, is definitely in the running game? So he ran 30 plus times last night. I foresee them doing the same thing this week. So I'm really excited to see these games coming up next week for the divisional matchups.
All right, I just wanted to double check and make sure. So, and this is from Twitter. This is from good buddy of mine, former coworker Dave Kaplan. You guys know him better as Head Chopper, but it held true. He said heading into the second half of Sunday night's game, it was an intriguing touchdown leaderboard, including, are you ready? John Brown, co-leader for touchdowns this week. Nobody had more than one touchdown pass.
Wow.
That's kind of crazy to think about it that way. There was a lot of running. The three home teams lost. The only home team that won was Houston, and they had to go to overtime to do it. We had an overtime game for Sunday's early game. They had said 6 of the last 8 playoff games in chronologically had gone to overtimes. I heard them say on the broadcast. This has just been this was really a truly interesting weekend. I didn't predict a lot of these outcomes here. So,
well, we talked about it. I mean, is our running backs just more vital in these situations come playoffs? I mean, it seemed like a lot of these teams were very conservative at times when maybe you can let the ball loose a little bit and go through the air. But I mean, a lot of these teams pivoted to the run, and that's where their focal points were. So, running backs, when you have a Derrick Henry, when you have someone like Devin Singletary who can catch and run for you in pivotal times, and then obviously when you have someone like we just saw, and Russell Wilson, who not only was able to throw but use his legs, it's just these things right here. The running game in different facets, whether it's the quarterback or the running back, I think is what really decides certain games. And I mean, I think we saw that over these past 4 games during the playoffs.
yeah. So in the Minnesota New Orleans game, Dalvin Cook led his team with 94. He had 2 touchdowns. Taysom Hill caught a touchdown, was 4 for 50 rushing, and was 1 for 1 passing for a 50-yard bomb. So quarterback, he's kind of a hybrid. We won't really count him. Josh Allen, 9 for 92. He led the Bills in rushing. Deshaun Watson, 14 for 55. He led Houston in rushing. Carlos Hyde was 16 for 48. When we get to Tennessee, obviously it was Derrick Henry, an amazing 34 carries for 182 yards. That was a postseason record there for Tennessee. Sony Michel, of course, 16 for 61. And then Russell Wilson, 9 for 45. He led the Seahawks. Travis Homer was 11 for 12. Marshawn Lynch was 6 for 9. So 26 carries, 64 yards for the Seahawks. Wow. It felt like playoff hockey. Just every possession was an absolute nail biter. And then wrapping it up, Philadelphia had, they lost Carson Wentz. Josh McCown, 5 for 23. But it was Miles Sanders leading the team with 69 yards. So just kind of fun with numbers there before we get on to the NBA. Any other NFL you need to get out of your system before we flip the script here?
Oh man, no. I mean, I think we got enough of it. Now we can get back to basketball for the next few days, and we'll worry about these matchups come Thursday, Friday before the next round of the playoffs start.
Excellent. All right. Well, speaking of flipping the script, turning the page, etc., we do have a promo that's rapidly running out. We've got two of them here at Awesomo. You have 2020, which is 2020. Hey, just like the year. If you use that promo code when you sign up, there's a special package there that you can get 20 days of Awesomo all access premium content for $20. This is the best deal we've ever run. When this one runs out, there's no, oh, we're just going to extend the deadline. The deadline is the 10th, so definitely get in on that. We also have, for those of you that are fired up for Awesomo and already know the benefits that it does have, we're offering our best ever 1-year discount of $200 off. That is if you sign up for 1 year and use the promo code New Year, you will get $200 off. And you can tack that on if you already have an existing All Access pass. You can tack on that annual subscription there. Just talk to support@awesomo.com. That does not work for the $20 for 20 days. That's a standalone by itself, but it's an amazing deal and you're crazy not to try it. Just $1 a day. You can find out exactly what does happen in Slack chat because, as Dan Strafford likes to say, you will get 24/7 unfettered access to one Adam Ship My Money Shares DMs. Well worth it. Well worth it right there. Steal it twice the price. All right, Chris, we're going to go by position here. We've got a lot of moving parts with, oh gosh, like a million games on the slate. Am I slightly exaggerating there? What did I tell you? There's 9. So
Yeah.
we've got who is on a back to, I think everybody's clean. Nobody is on a back-to-back, if I remember correctly. There were just 2 on back-to-backs on Sunday. That would be Memphis and Detroit. So, yep, nobody's on a back-to-back. We have, let's see, Giannis is probable. He has a sore back. So this has been a little bit of a concern. This is the home and home deal between the Bucks and the Spurs. They played in San Antonio on Saturday. You've got John Collins, who's also dealing with his own bruised back. We'll have to see what happens with him. Bradley Beal is dealing with the sore calf/knee. He has missed 5 of the last 6. Drew Holiday has bruised his elbow. You want to keep an eye on that. Zach LaVine has been working through an ankle injury. Does not appear to be any sort of concern. You've got Marvin Bagley. Now, I've seen conflicting reports on him. He is listed as out. I've seen he could be out for another week or 2, or he could be back midweek. So that's not going to affect us on Monday because he's out for sure, but just keep an eye on that. Let's see. Lauri Markkanen has injured his ankle. He's probably going to miss a couple games. He has not been ruled out. He is just listed as doubtful. DeJounte Murray should be back with the team. He missed Saturday's game for personal reasons. Bogdan Bogdanovic, the Sacramento Kings player, has a sore right ankle. He has missed a couple games because of it. Jan Mahimny dealing with I think he dislocated his finger. We'll have to keep an eye on that for the Wizards. TJ McConnell sprained an ankle. He's been a little sore. Tim Hardaway Jr., they're not sure if he's going to come back yet or not. He is closer to a return. I don't think he plays on Monday, but he's been dealing with the strained hamstring. And then Jabari Parker should be back from illness. I think that hits most of them. I'm turning this over to you. We've got point guard. We'll utilize DraftKings, I guess, will be the one we use to as you see fit, but we'll hit on some Yahoo stuff throughout the show and then make sure we get to them at the end since they are the presenting sponsor, but we'll talk about them in a moment. What do you got at point guard for us, Chris?
First we got to talk about the big guys. Luka Doncic. At what point do we not play him as far as price is concerned? Because last night on FanDuel, obviously he's 11K or whatever. He's still being 60% owned. It's like, even when you're not fading him as his price continues to creep, the ownership is still there. So him at 12.2 now, what happens? He was just 12.4, and now he just scored 77 fantasy points, and now he goes down 200. It's like, man, if people are playing him at 12.4, I'm sure they're going to play him at 12.2. Okay of a matchup, not the greatest against Chicago, but it'll be interesting to kind of see what the Awesomo ownership projections are as we go into, before lock and the deeper dive and all those shows. But also Trae Young. I mean, he's still in the 9K range. I think as long as he's not in that high 10K range, I think it's okay. I think, with John Collins out, it obviously bumps his usage rate. It gives him a lot more scoring opportunities as well. And we saw that last game, 37 minutes, shot great from the field, 12 23, and dropped 41 real life points and 62 fantasy points. So I love these two guards. And I mean, they kind of separate themselves when it comes to the other guards that are available up in price in the 8K range. But as we go down, Ben Simmons coming off a huge game at Houston, logged in 42
and
minutes.
getting called out by teammate Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, this guy just
Not
drops.
directly, but we need to shoot more. I think that's a pointed comment at just one guy.
Well, I mean, he was 13 of 19 from the field, right? Shot 68%. How much of that was within the paint? I would have to look into it. But I mean, he dropped the triple double, 4 blocks, 3 steals. I mean, what more could you want of the guy? I think Joel Embiid, maybe just focus on your game a little bit more and be a little bit more effective. Because I mean, when someone's dropping a 29, 13, 11, 4, 3 line, what more could you say about him? I mean, yeah, we know he can't shoot. It's been a constant theme throughout his career so far. And but outside of that, though, he's a guy who's attacks the rim. He looks for short shots in the paint or just outside the paint, and he does everything. So yeah, I mean at 8,800 against OKC, though, a little bit of not the best matchup, but I mean they're in the mid tier as far as defense against guards, so I don't mind it. Chris Paul's not what he was defensively back in the day, but I think Alexander does play a little bit of good D at the shooting guard position, so it could see him get the assignment. But I do like Ben Simmons at 8,800. Kemba Walker's still out, so I mean, if you want to focus on maybe a Marcus Smart, I think that's okay too. But as we go down even more, my man Devontae Graham, man. I mean, we always talk about this guy. I love him. Just dropped 44 minutes, 54 fantasy points. What I love about him is that Terry Rozier doesn't seem to be the main point ball handler now. It's Devontae Graham. So assist opportunities are way more in favor for Devontae as compared to Terry Rozier. And what I liked about the rotation is Devontae Graham usually plays almost the entire first quarter. Rozier comes out about the 5-minute mark. Graham stays on, gets to go ahead and distribute the ball to the second unit. And then, I mean, Rozier will come in either a minute left or he'll come in start of the second quarter. And then Devontae Graham just comes right back in at like the 7-minute mark. So not much time off the floor, a lot of opportunities for assist. And I mean, obviously he can score. And if he's sinking the 3 ball and he's taking a ton of them, I love him at 7,700.
Yeah, he's someone that has just been absolutely phenomenal. So I'm going back to look at the schedule here for Memphis because I'm sorry, I should be looking at Charlotte because he plays for Charlotte. Sorry, I was thinking of Ja Morant because I'm looking for some overtime games. Okay, that makes more sense. So they had overtime in their last game. That would be the 4th. That would be Charlotte, where they won in Dallas. Now they didn't have Kristaps Porzingis, but that's still. Charlotte winning in Dallas is pretty good, and they lost in overtime on the 27th to Oklahoma City. So I'm calling that out because if we look at the in the first overtime game on Saturday, 44 minutes. If we look at the one against OKC, 46 minutes. That's an insane workload. Looking at the 3 games in between, 35, 38, and 41 minutes. To your point, he is playing a ton. He has double-digit assists in 5 of his last 6. And in this stretch, he's averaging, eyeballing it, looks like about 18, almost 19 points per minute. So, or points per minute would be amazing. Points per game, NBA scoring. So yeah, he has just been absolutely phenomenal. If we look, kind of cruise down the pricing sheet just a little bit more, I want to look at Eric Bledsoe here. He's someone that has been working back from his injury layoff, and he has played, 16, 20, and then 24 minutes. I would suspect he should be good to go for 25 to 27 minutes, which is right in line with what he was playing prior to his injury. So at 6,000, he is still a reasonable deal going against the Spurs. If you look at Lonzo Ball going against Utah, not always the best matchup, but Lonzo has put down some serious numbers recently. On a bit of a tear, making the 3-pointers, hitting or getting his steals, still getting the assists. He's had a couple nice games. It is a warranted price increase. You do get him at 63 on FanDuel. I really like that price there, and I think he's a steal at 24 over on Yahoo. Finishing up the bottom half the list here, if Malcolm Brogdon, who I didn't mention, so I'm assuming he's probably still out, that puts Aaron Holiday in play at 5,800. TJ McConnell, if playing at 4,600, would also definitely be in our picture if Brogdon's out. If McConnell ends up being out, then heck, let's just roll with all of Aaron Holiday here. Any punts here that catch your eye down at the bottom? Maybe Ish Smith against Boston.
Love the Holiday call. I think even if McConnell was somewhat available to play, I don't think he would play much, and I don't think he has near as much upside with Brogdon out than how much upside Holiday does. So I love that. I think Bledsoe is interesting at 6K. I think we could talk about him with, I mean, his minutes are starting to creep back up, and he's still producing quite a bit as far as fantasy point per dollar, and his price point at 6K. So going up against a San Antonio team that does struggle against backcourts, and I don't mind him there. I'm curious to see what the ownership will be on him. Marcus Smart, we touched on him. It's going to be a great matchup if Walker is still out. Definitely don't mind Marcus Smart. This is a great matchup for him. Had a little bit of a rough game last night against Chicago, but in these up-paced matchups like the one in Atlanta, he kind of thrived, and I could see him thriving as well, especially on the defensive side in an up-paced matchup. So 5,200 probably will give you 30, 31 minutes. We can definitely consider him. And I think I would probably fade Gary Payton. I don't know what has happened now, but definitely those first few games had to have been a fluke because the glove is not getting 6 steals anymore. He's getting
his first three games. He literally had half of his career steals in his NBA career because he had 6, 3, and 6.
Just to note something on Gary Payton, I think I have a little bit of a personal thing against him because last night I had probably one of the best lineups on FanDuel you could possibly have, and he was 3,700. And I needed someone cheap, and I knew that he played 35 minutes the night before against Portland. So I was thinking, well, at 3,700, if he's going to give me 35 minutes, you know what? I'll take the gamble. I mean, there's just no reason why I wouldn't want to fit him in there because I had Doncic and Trae Young in this lineup, and I figured he would be ideal. I knew the ownership wouldn't be there because obviously he didn't really do much in 35 minutes. But if we know how it is in fantasy, if we want to play cheap guys, we want them to play a ton of minutes. That's all that matters. And he played 11 minutes. Didn't have any foul trouble. Don't know what the case was, but was barely on the floor. He put up 5 fantasy points, and I put up 370 FanDuel points with 5 points from Gary Payton.
Wow.
Incredible.
Yeah, so a little more on that. The Wizards were actually winning, so they just kept riding the hot hands, and he was not one of them. So.
Oh yeah, Troy Brown, who the night before was a complete dud, and then of course the night where
he's off the bench, and McRae goes into the starting
exactly. Lineup. They flip rotations, and clearly they're better off the bench than they are in the starting lineup.
Yeah, I was teasing one of our members in Premium Slack. They're saying, "Oh man, as soon as McRae, leaves the second unit, he dies." And I said, no. That's leaving the third unit. He moved up to the second unit, which just happens to be the unit that's starting right now for the Wizards.
Exactly.
Oh, good times. All right, shooting guard here. Donovan Mitchell gets a great matchup against New Orleans. He is 8,100 on both FanDuel and DraftKings, 34 on Yahoo. We'll have to see where I go, but he could be in contention for one of my favorites that make the cash game building blocks article. So we'll have to check on that. We don't know anything about Bradley Beal. I did go look at Malcolm Brogdon. He's not even on the road trip with them. He's still back home in Indiana, so he won't play until Thursday at the earliest, and they doubt that will be the case there. Buddy Hield, one of my favorites. He gets a nice matchup there against Golden State. 72 on DK, 67 on FanDuel, 28 on Yahoo. Spencer Dinwiddie, tough matchup in Orlando, but I want to use this moment before I turn it over to you and point out Kyrie Irving, going to be reassessed in another month or two, may still need surgery. I thought the report was he was close to returning. I guess there could be some problems here.
I think they're just going to play it safe and just know that, okay, we're going to roll them out next year. Like, we have them, and I'm speaking of Durant and Kyrie. And I mean, there's really no reason right now. There's just really not. I think it's just all a story. I think basically what we're seeing here is He might be healthy, he might not be, but all of a sudden you're about to return, then all of a sudden you might need surgery. Like, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. I could definitely see them just pushing off his return and waiting for this duo to kind of come together next year and start that kind of that tenure with them together, at the same time. So, but love the Buddy Hield. I love any guard really. Between him, Fox, and Barnes, I love any three of these guys in this matchup for this slate. It's going to be a great matchup against Golden State, and obviously they're at home as well. But I love it because, I mean, Hield's going to take a ton of shots. He's going to play a ton of minutes. He's 7,200. And I mean, that's what you look for. And I think the price point is perfect for that. I don't mind it whatsoever. He does have the ability to get up to the 50-point range as far as fantasy points. So definitely don't mind that. Chris Middleton, you can consider at 7,400, but I would rather go to Jaylen Brown with Kemba being out, because with Kemba being out, it kind of gives them a rise as far as Brown and Tatum and Hayward. So I'm all for Jaylen Brown at 7,400. Going down a little bit, Terry Rozier 6,700, but I mean, without him being the main ball distributor and Graham taking over that, it kind of just concerns me. I'd rather get him in like the five, or high 5K range. But I'll tell you what, I mean, he looked great against Dallas in that overtime game. Scored 29 points, 6 rebounds, dropped 50 DK points, shot great from the field. I mean, he definitely has that upside. 6,700 though, you got to give yourself, okay, do I want to go there? Do I want to pivot to Alec Burks at 6,500? These are the questions that you'll ask yourself and see kind of where the ownership's at. Alec Burks, he's frustrating because he's so inconsistent. But if he is able to take shots, and he's taking more than 5 shots than he did 2 games ago against Minnesota, which was a great matchup against a team that had no Wiggins, no Towns, no Teague. He took 5 shots. But he was also in foul trouble. And that's one thing that I hate in DFS. I'll tell you what, EMAC, he had 2 quick fouls. They pull him out. They put him back in. He gets another quick foul. The best part was when he came back in again, 30 seconds in, he got another foul. He got 4 fouls. It's like, what goes through their mindset when they get into foul trouble? And like, you would think one would be like, okay, you know what? I can't foul. I got to just, I gotta be a little bit lackadaisical here and just kind of sag off. But I mean, he stays aggressive. And I mean, sometimes that could be the worst enemy, because that aggressiveness turns into foul trouble. And, it leads us to not getting any fantasy production.
Well, and then that foul trouble leads coaches to say, oh no, I can't have that happen to my really good players, so I better not play them if they get 2 or 3 fouls. So
I want to know what the data is on how effective it is to pull a player when they get 2 fouls, or if you don't pull a player, how likely is it for that individual to get 6 fouls?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's one. I wonder if somebody has ever pulled all the data. That seems like something they would do at 538. Etc. But it's one of those where it feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy sometimes. But if you look at the different player types, okay, if you're a guard that plays a lot of defense, the really good ones don't tend to, they know when to stop reaching and going for that extra bit, like PJ Tucker and guys like that. They usually don't foul out. Now, PJ Tucker's not exactly a guard, but on-ball defenders, they can control it a little better. Big men, they get ticky-tack fouls just because of rebounding, because they're a little bit slower. They do over the back, or whatever those equivalents are in the NBA, and such. That makes it like there could be a little more problems. You get guys driving towards them, trying to induce fouls, going for the block fouls. That could be a possibility, but it doesn't seem like players really foul out all that often. I mean, there's like the usual dozen or 20 guys that do. But that, I don't even know if it's 1 per team of players that foul out with any sort of frequency. And with frequency, I would say, 15 times out of the 82 games in the year, I think would be a lot. Now, there are players that are in perpetual foul trouble, like Moritz Wagner and Marquise Chris and guys like that. But that, that doesn't all. It's not always the case. Jaren Jackson Jr., but those guys are few and far between. All right, back to our fun here. So Kemba Walker out with his illness, and then D'Angelo Russell also out, his shoulder. He did not make it through practice. So we've got Alec Burks and Damian Lee. For me, these guys are late slate. Most likely, I'm okay with them on Yahoo at 23 and 21, but I think we can find some better deals. I don't hate Damian Lee at 56. on FanDuel, but with 18 teams in action, there's a good chance we might come up with some better value options as news comes in throughout the day. Joe Ingles, I do like this matchup for him. I did not like the Orlando matchup for him at all. This is not hindsight. He didn't have a great game, but I like to pick my spots with him, and he's someone I look at almost every day because he's usually hanging out in the mid to upper 5,000s on both sides. And then on Monday we get him at 57 on DK and 54 on FanDuel going against New Orleans. This is a better matchup for him. It's more freewheeling. They'll play faster and sort of drag the Jazz along. I like those guys. And then down at the bottom, we'll have to see. Troy Brown Jr. and Jordan McRae's prices both come up. I guess we want the guy coming off the bench, in all honesty, just because they'll have a better chance of dominating the shots for those respective units. But nobody else really exciting here as we get to the bottom. So I suspect value will be the course of the day. And if Lonnie Walker gets another start, I don't care. I don't want to play him.
Yeah, I like Ingles because, I mean, obviously he plays a ton of minutes and shoots threes and plays a little bit of defense, and he's pretty cheap. So don't mind it at 5,700 for the amount of minutes that he is on the floor. He is, I think, a 0.9 fantasy point per minute player. But I do like Marcus Smart, man. I mean, this is a great matchup for him. Washington, he's 5,200. I might pull the lock button on him. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he's also someone that you use in cash.
I just played him in cash and recommended him in the Cash Game Building Blocks article on Saturday when he played Atlanta. That was not an exciting moment, though. I think mid 20s in that game. That wasn't very good.
No, Atlanta, he dropped 46.
Wait, which?
It was Chicago.
Thank you. Yeah. Sorry, yeah. I was thinking team in red, not. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, no, I mean, but I liked them too last night. But one would think that this is probably a bounce back spot. I mean, just because defensively in the pace, he's just going to get a lot of opportunities for the defensive side. And also, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him knock down a few shots. And he's obviously someone who can distribute the ball. I do like Terrence Ross. With Jonathan Isaacs out, he seemed to get just a little bit more run, and he's now creeping into shooting a little bit more shots. And for that, at 4,700. He is the sixth man off this bench, and I love that. So it's not the best of matchups, but for someone who can score and he's 4,700, I don't mind him. Yes, you're going to need him to score a lot because that's pretty much all he's good for. But at 4,700, he's someone if he can get to 25, 27 fantasy points, I mean, you don't mind it. And then going down a little bit more, I don't really see too much that stands out. Obviously, if there's injuries, then that'll be somewhat of a thing to look at. But I think you would, just to be safe, you'd probably want to stay in that 5K range and up for the shooting guard position, because I'm not seeing much that really stands out going down there into value.
All right. Intriguing choice here with Giannis on the road in San Antonio. 10,900. It's a pretty good price there on DraftKings. He's 11.4 on FanDuel, 57 on Yahoo. So DraftKings, trying to entice us there to play him. If he gets 34 minutes, he's amazing. If he gets less than 30 minutes, he's adequate. I think we can take a chance on him at DraftKings at 10.9. You already talked about Ben Simmons at point guard, but he's someone that is sort of showing up just a little bit. We hit a bunch of these guys at the shooting guard position. As I scroll down, let me go all the way to the bottom. Be easier that way. Thaddeus Young. Oh boy. So if Lauri Markkanen is out, which it sounds like he will be, Thaddeus Young could be placeholder value. I want to find someone to replace him as soon as possible, but he is someone that is at this point in his career kind of a poor man's Harrison Barnes. He can do a little bit of everything. But I do want to point out he's averaging about 20 minutes per game and about 15 fantasy points per game over his last 8. That's not exciting. But if he gets a few extra shots and can do some things and some stuff, as they say, against Dallas, there is possibility there. Joe Harris at 5,300 and 5,000 on FanDuel. I have a little bit of interest in him. We know Jonathan Isaac is going to be out for 2 months with his knee injury, so that has reshuffled their lineup and takes probably their best defender out. Nobody else really exciting. If we're gonna spend Doncic and Giannis, and then Buddy Hield in the mid tier, but we already talked about him. I'm gonna turn you loose on power forwards here. Let's flip the page. What do we got? So, Al Horford, 5,400 on DK, 5,400 on FanDuel. Are they trying to trick us into playing him? Because the game logs sure aren't pretty.
No, I mean, I don't want to. I don't want to roster him. No shot, especially against. Depending on it, is Nerlens Noel healthy? Is he going to be able to play? I mean, just defensively, I think Seattle. I mean, excuse me, Steven Adams. He's pretty sound down low, and then you have also Nerlens Noel, who does play somewhat of formidable defense.
Noel, yeah, good call out. Noel is out with the
Okay.
sprained ankle, so he won't be playing against Philadelphia.
Either way, I mean, I think you mentioned it about how his game logs look right now. There's really nothing to be excited about. He's shooting horrible from three, that's for sure. And I mean, 3 of 8, 2 of 12 from the field. I mean, clearly this guy cannot shoot right now. And there's just so many other options on the 76ers team. I mean, he's not even the third option, I would think. I think Jay Rich and that start, or excuse me, Tobias Harris, then Jay Rich.
Yeah.
So I mean, he is kind of like the fifth option. I mean, yeah, he's cheap. If you want to go there for GBPs, multi-entering, sure, don't mind it. Maxi Kleber's price is starting to creep up a lot at 5,900. Don't really know how much more we can pay there. I mean, he did drop 36, 31, 37, but he was just 3,700 2 games ago, and now he's 5,900. So even though I kind of do like him against Wendell Carter and Lauri Markkanen in this matchup, the thing is that he comes off the bench, but I mean he's logging 35 minutes, so maybe I have to look more into that. But if he would start, I mean he probably would be more of a lock for me. But I mean if he's going to continue that 30-minute range, I don't mind it. Bogdanovic, 5,900, he's like a safe play. He hasn't been shooting well from the field though, and his box scores look completely different than what they did about a month ago, where he was 37 minutes and shooting 32 points, 30 points, 26 points. I mean, he was scoring. Now it's 17, 17, 19. I mean, it's just his scoring has changed significantly. And I don't know if that's because the usage has gone up for Donovan Mitchell, but Ingles has also stepped up his game as well. But outside of that, though, as we go down a little bit more, there's not much I like. I really don't. I like Tatum up there. I like Sabonis. Giannis at 10-9, going to be interesting because that's a little too cheap, in my opinion, regardless of what he's done the last couple of games. The guy's a superstar, and obviously he can get there with ease. And at 10-9, you would have to ask yourself, would you rather pay 10-9 for Giannis or pay over 12K for Luka? I mean, obviously, I think the answer is Giannis here. But other than that, though, man, as we go down, it's kind of ugly. A lot of injuries. There's a lot of guys out. Maybe Daniel Theis. I think that's someone that we can talk about. 4K, pretty cheap against a front court here of Washington that not good right now. You're going to get 24, 25 minutes from Theis. I think where you need him to excel is he needs a couple blocks and he needs to score a few points. And if he can get there, obviously he'll grab you a few rebounds. But I mean, what do we need from Theis? If he can get 25, 30 DK points at 4K, you got to love that. But outside of that, though, I mean, now we're talking about, Thaddeus Young, Trevor Ariza, Pascal. I mean, all these guys. It's going to be tough, man. I think tomorrow is going to be interesting as far as the value is concerned. If you're trying to play stars and scrubs, going to be a little difficult. I probably, looking at a first look here, I kind of like the more balanced approach looking at this 9-game slate.
All right, here's some fun with New Orleans. I was just looking this up. So they have won 6 of their last 8, including 4 games on the road. Prior to that stretch of 8 games, they had lost 13 in a row.
Wow.
But they're getting healthy. So, in that 13-game stretch, 9 of them, they were without Derek Favors. He now no longer has a minutes limit, so he's seeing between 30 and 32 minutes a game. Lonzo Ball's back and healthy again, etc. But they've really turned things around. So that was kind of interesting to look at. Let's wrap it up here with centers. We'll talk a little bit about our presenting sponsor, Yahoo, and then we will let everybody get on their way, hopefully safely, to work from their commute. Domantas Sabonis going against Charlotte. Yes, that is a very nice spot. Any big against Charlotte. I think you can also TJ Warren. The small forward, power forward combo position is viable. If you look to someone like LaMarcus Aldridge going against Milwaukee at home, that's intriguing. Those are kind of the mid-tier guys. Up at the top, you've got Nikola Jokic, who has been disappointing, and especially when Washington kicked their ass. But he has got a great matchup against Atlanta. You've got Nikola Vucevic going against Brooklyn. You've got, I mentioned Aldridge. What else do we have up there? Rudy Gobert, 7,900 on DK. It's a very nice price. 83 a little tougher on FanDuel. 35 a little tougher there on Yahoo. But he goes against New Orleans. Not like they have a dominating front court there. What do you like at our top shelf spot here as we wrap up our final position?
Yeah, I mean, Embiid, right? Man, he's 9,400. I just feel like what just happened with him and Simmons, I feel like he's just going to come out and do something again like he did last time. OKC, I like Steven Adams' defense from time to time. Can he get the better of him? Absolutely. I like Embiid at 9,400. I really do. Sabonis, I like even more though at 86. Sabonis is so safe and consistent. It's really hard to not say that he's not going to get a double-double. He's not going to score 20 plus points, and he's not going to score 40 DK points. I mean, it's really hard for him not to do that. And I mean, obviously he's going to give you 34 plus minutes. He's going to be on the floor. He's very active, and it's a great matchup, man. I mean, Zeller and Bismack Biyombo, tear them apart. I like him there. That's a great call.
All right. I happened to look at Twitter. Your friend and mine. Oh, and our boss Alex Baker tweeted out the screenshot of is it Jade Roper? Is that her name?
Yeah. So Tanner met Jade on The Bachelor, as you know. I was obviously on the show too. They got married on the show, as did I. And Tanner, he's been playing for quite some time, the last few years of daily fantasy, and I think Jade played last year and this year, and she is like somewhat decent. She only plays the Millie Makers. And so it was very interesting because like 10 minutes before the game started today, the second game, they had the option of choosing Greg Ward or DK Metcalf for, the pivot as far as the salary that they had. And so Jade, she said DK Metcalf, and I agreed with her. I looked at the salaries of the other teams, and I said that they probably have Greg Ward. They don't have enough money for DK Metcalf. And since you have enough money for DK Metcalf, it's a no-brainer. Tanner was, kind of pushing to go Greg Ward because, to be with everyone else. And I'm like, no, you got to differentiate yourself. And, Jade, she chose DK Metcalf. So that turned into being the winning guy for the Millionaire Maker lineup. And it's crazy, man. I'm still in shock. I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm trying to concentrate on this podcast. They just won $1 million. I'm just like, wow, like it's just absolutely incredible. It's really cool. Congrats to them. Beautiful thing. And, I think Tanner's a little salty because, his wife got the W and he didn't, and
yeah,
that kind of hurt a little bit, man. She started Deshaun Watson. He didn't.
Nope. No commingling of those DK funds. She's going to keep all of those for herself.
So that's going to be interesting, man. Never had to deal with that before, where the wife gets the upper hand. But he's supportive, and congrats to them. That's amazing. And I still can't believe it. I'm not going to lie, man. It's shocking because I was with them. I was on the phone with them the entire second half. And with the craziest part here was when Dallas Goedert started getting in a rhythm with McCown, and all of a sudden, a guy who had Metcalf and Goddard was 8 points back.
Make a run. Yeah.
Goddard started getting more catches. Then the best part was they get down there and it's 4th and 7. And so they go for it. On 3rd down, they threw it to Goddard, incomplete. So 4th and 7, Goddard almost got open and broke away from the linebacker, but then McCown ended up getting sacked. So now Seattle has the ball. Philly has 3 minutes left, 3 timeouts left. And there's 2 minutes left on the clock, 1:57 or whatever it was. And they were freaking out because they knew that, Goddard would probably get the garbage time. So at this point, Goddard needs 2.5 points, the Goddard team, to go ahead and overtake first place. And that would drop them to second, a $900,000 swing. And so they're freaking out. They're watching it. I'm watching it. And they get the ball back, Philly does. And I'm just like, oh my God, this is the worst situation possible. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And Seattle, third down, it's like, man, they're going to get the ball back. They're worried about garbage time. And that bomb to DK Metcalf, man, it was just like icing on the cake, game over. And they were just screaming, going nuts, absolutely insane. You couldn't hear anything. I mean, their little kids must have been like, what is going on? Because the echo of her scream was wild. So.
Oh, that's funny. Well, hey, props to Wilson, DK Metcalf, Brian Schottenheimer for calling that play.
Oh yeah.
Carroll for not overriding him. It was a confluence of events there. That was a good one.
Absolutely incredible, man. So congrats to them. Awesome win.
Yeah, Alex said, "Oh, I only know they're from The Bachelor because my girlfriend makes me watch it." Yes, Alex is like the number one fan of The Bachelor.
He loves The Bachelor, man. But his girl does too. That's how we initially connected, was an actual Bachelor podcast.
Really?
I was on a Bachelor podcast. In the last 5 minutes, we started talking about DFS, and I was talking about it with the producers, and for some reason it was airing, and she heard the talk, and Alex reached out to me via Twitter and was like, hey man, I heard you play DFS, blah blah blah. He's like, you should check out Awesomo.com, and that's how we connected.
Very nice. I did not know that story. That's a good one. I figured you just figured it was easier to come be on Awesomo than it was to get a restraining order against Alex. So.
Oh no, absolutely not. Good guy though, amazing guy. I would never get a restraining order, not from anyone, unless you're maybe Gary Payton Jr. For sure, and Frank Nicolina, and that bull crap that took place Friday night with Gary Payton not traveling with the team.
Oh, with Alfred Payton, yeah,
Alfred Payton not traveling with the team, doubtful. Then they say he's going to be leaving New York. He's now questionable. He might make it to Phoenix. Somehow makes it to Phoenix in record time. Yeah. Don't know what James Dolan did. And sorry for going off a tangent about this, but I had 150 lineups with probably 93 of them with Frank Nicolina. And here's the crazy part: is I had 400. I had 400 lineups, or excuse me, 400 score lineups where Nicolina was in there. He had 4 fantasy points? I think 5. And I scored 400 on DK with Frank Nicolina. Like, come on, that's crazy.
Those are tough. All right, yeah. Well, let's hit on Yahoo before we get on out of here real quick. These are the Yahoo bargain bin ballers, or discount dandies, as I like to call them. Not all $10 players are created equal, and we have a passel of them here. I do want to say Terrence Ross at 11. That's a 10% increase over what he usually is. He's usually 10, but he's had a couple nice games. We know he's a streaky shooter, but without Jonathan Isaac, that frees up some minutes and shots. So he's an interesting one. You had mentioned Daniel Tice getting to go against the Wizards. He is $12. That's a solid play. Orlando off the bench will be, or DJ Augustine will be facing Brooklyn for Orlando. Off the bench, but at 13 he's kind of interesting. There's some placeholder value for the moment. You've got Maxi Kleber and Dwight Powell at 13 and 12 respectively. Keep an eye on which one of them probably ends up starting. That would solidify their minutes. Kleber does well off the bench, Powell not so much, but those are some guys to look at. And then Bismack Biyombo at 10 may need to be out there, all hands on deck, dealing with Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis. But if you have not yet signed up for Yahoo, you can go to the bottom section of any of the Cash Game Building Blocks article. That is a daily article series that highlights good value, primetime players, risky value, fantasy cruncher tip of the day, your Yahoo discount dandies. But it does have the Yahoo instructions on how you can claim up to $30 with your initial Yahoo DFS deposit. They will match your first $30 if you come in on our link and use our promo code. But with that, we are going to get on out of here. You can follow Chris on Twitter at Chris Randone. I am at EMACDFS, and of course, it is Awesomo_COM. With that, gamers, good luck.